Okay, so my name's Mark, and I'll be going against what was just talked about in regards to internet usage, especially when it comes to saving of data and selling of data to other companies. One of the main points that was pointed out by the negative today was that when you are online, you give consent through a privacy policy to a company for whatever data they want to use to sell to a third party. That I found to be reasonably unreliable, especially with the websites Google and Facebook. One of the things pointed out on extremetech.com was that on Google's privacy settings, it's extremely misleading because all the boxes when you are changing your settings are checked by default, and you uncheck them to hide information, meaning they're checked as saying you give your consent, and you uncheck them to remove your consent. However, there's one specific one in there that does the exact opposite. If you uncheck the box labeled "Don't feature my publicly shared Google Plus photos as background images on Google products and services," you are actually giving Google permission to use your name and profile to advertise products. Someone who's rushing through trying to change stuff knowing that it's all going one way, they might end up giving their consent without realizing it. Another thing with Google, specifically when it came to the privacy policy, also reported by Extreme Tech, was that there was a slight deletion in addition to it that many people did not realize. One of the things that was deleted was them saying, "We will not combine cookie information on the internet with personably identifiable information unless we have your opt-in consent." However, what they added in replacement for that was, depending on your account settings, your activity on other sites may be associated with your personal information in order to improve online settings. This is one of the things, relating back to the last point, that I'd really like to point out is a gray area for this topic. When it comes down to Facebook, they have a setting called Digital Advertising Alliance Opt-out. It's a way for you to opt out of having all your information shared. However, one of the problems with it is it's been known through consumerists to not work all the time, and it only works per browser you're on. So if you set it on your account, say on Google Chrome on your PC, it does not take effect on your phone, tablet, or even another browser on that same computer. If you also clear your browser settings and cookies, that can also reset the opt-out, which they do not tell you. I would like to also move on now to other topics regarding Facebook and Google specifically. One of them was, I'd just like to point out, was the size of Google and Facebook, which many people do not know about how big their foothold is. SolarWinds mentioned that Google itself, of the top 100 websites in the world, 23 of them are owned by Google. And when it comes to Google's analytics platform that they use to share data between websites, more than 10 million websites as of 2012 are using Google's cross-platform website stats service. And of the top 10,000 websites, 55% of them are using that service. Google also, hold on. I'd also like to point out that when it comes to other topics such as data aggregation, which was mentioned by the other affirmative speaker, about how information may be shared outside of the internet usage and shared back to Facebook and Google and vice versa. One of the main things about it is it can affect job opportunities for an individual, and it can also affect your line of credit too. An instance of this in 2012 reported by the New York Times stated that your application for credit could be declined not on the basis of your own finances or credit history, but on the basis of aggregate data, which is based around people whose likes, dislikes, and purchase history are similar to yours. There are, speaking of data aggregators, there are laws that require data aggregators in the UK and other areas of Europe to report about what they have on you. However, in the US, there are no such laws that exist. They also have social implications as well when it comes to data aggregation. They use your location to base some of their data off of. So when you are, say if you're using a computer in a certain area of the city, they might base your ads based off of where you are using that computer. This can have very big social implications as, say, someone who is, when young people, say, are in a poor neighborhood and they're bombarded with advertisements for trade schools, will they likely in the future go to a four-year college, or will they end up going to a trade school and possibly limiting themselves to possible potential? When it comes to how popular certain things are, especially with data aggregation, one study from the New York Times also indicates that 70%, oh wait, hold on, that's not what I wanted. A 2008 Consumer Report poll, it polled 2,000 people and found that 72% of all those 2,000 people wanted to opt out of online trafficking, including social data aggregation. There is also one other issue I'd like to point out with the data aggregation. One specific study from New York Times indicated that roughly 70% of recruiters and human resource professionals in the US have rejected candidates based off of information they have found online. And that's it.